Welcome to As Real as the Calm Dallas. We are here at the Guaranteed Rate in Colleyville, Texas. We started a new rubric that's called Keeping It Realty. And if you are interested in being one of our guests, please hit me up and we'll make that arranged. Today I have two special guests in our studio, Reggie Smiley and Derek Altoonian. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Yes.
So, gentlemen, I know that both of you have a vast experience in mortgage business, and I would like to hear a story. Everyone has a special story of how they got started and how this journey progressed. Will you please tell me?
You go ahead.
Yeah, I'll start. So, I got into business back in 2006 in Lubbock, Texas. Had a friend that knew someone that was a manager at company Home 123, New Century Mortgage, and I had just bought a house probably 3 months before I made a decision. So called up my loan officer, Jeff Sicken, great guy, and I said, "Man, do you think I can do this? This mortgage thing?" And he's like, "Man, I think you'll be pretty good at it, right?" So from there, started doing the subprime loans, where basically, if you can fog that mirror, I give you a loan, right? It's just, none of this stuff we go through today. And, and of course that was short-lived. That was back February 2006 and took off really good. And next thing you know, it's the mortgage meltdown, right? You're watching this thing called implode. Like, is your company going to be out of business? And sure enough, things changed. Yeah. But in this business, it's such a small world. So, people that I met from Home 123 in a short period had opened a new office in Dallas. Wife was finishing nursing school, so it was like, let's get a fresh start. And, ended up here, and it was pretty tough, but, it's just one of those things that, been doing it since, so.
So you've been through the ringer of mortgage business?
I've seen it all. I even took like a small break from it just because it was just been in a new city and not having the relationships, and then it was just different. It was a different world, but I can't see myself doing anything else. Love it.
And I think you're great at it.
Thank you.
Reggie and I, we worked together at one of the mortgage companies, Supreme Lending.
Correct. Yeah. Sat right across from you, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. I learned, this was very beginning of my mortgage career. I switched from being a realtor to being a loan officer, and questions were through the roof.
Right.
I'm like, Reggie.
You did great.
Amen, Reggie. But the way Reggie is on the phone is just phenomenal. Whenever he's talking to clients, and that's the thing, when you start in business, you basically first you soak it in like a big sponge, and then you create your own style. You tailor it to something else, and I feel very blessed because I had someone like you who was in the very beginning, because once you set the tone, that's how you will pretty much progress in it. Yes. And I had great people that were guiding me through it, and I'm very appreciative of that. Absolutely.
Thanks for those kind of words. Yeah, I'm the same way. That was a great experience. Supreme, right? You get to sit around so many different people. Everyone has their own style, and like you said, you make your own. Yeah. Be a sponge.
Be a sponge. So, take what serves you, let go what doesn't, and just make your journey special.
Oh yeah.
What about you, Derek?
Well, I started a couple different times. I was at Wells Fargo for a couple years, did customer service, then worked and did some home equity products for them. So I've got the big box feel. In as far as my experience started, got out of that industry, went into outside sales, and then got back into the mortgage industry in 2010, right after the fog the mirror loans went away. So unfortunately, I didn't get to really experience that portion of the lending. I experienced the very strict, all the guidelines strict, being strict and loosening up and going back strict, and just this roller coaster we've been on for the last 10 years, 11 years. And, I started at Texas Lending, taking a bunch of inbound leads, which couldn't thank, Texas Lending enough for that experience, because I had so many loans when I was a rookie that I learned a whole lot in a very short amount of time. So, I mean, that was an insanely good experience. It's, you know, obviously as I progressed and as I matured as a loan officer in that short amount of time with them, you know, I found that Supreme Lending actually was my next stop, was a really good stop for me. And then moved on to investment lending, which is where I learned how to, you know, do hard money loans, talk to investors, learn about investment strategies, financially planning for retirement and gaining wealth through real estate, and not just looking at a mortgage as somebody's living in a home as their primary residence, as it's your long-term wealth. And then once I was done with that, you know, started my own branch. And then a year ago, this guy and I teamed up, and you know, we came to guaranteed rate. I was a little slower to pull the trigger than Reggie was.
A lot slower.
Reggie came over a year prior. I'm a little more reserved when it comes to making those types of decisions and moves, because I don't like to be the guy that hops from company to company. You know, you have one name in this world, and you want to make sure it's good. And I'm not saying that Reggie hopped. I mean, he was with his previous company for years.
Kind of how I took it.
Yeah.
Like, what are you saying here, Derek?
Well, I mean, when we went to Chicago, they had given us this dog and pony show that was amazing, and you know, any normal human being would have signed up right then and there, which the majority of them did. Reggie was one of them. I just didn't, because I had some things I had to clean up and make sure I buttoned things up, and you know, it was a very interesting time in my career. Yeah. But when we did, you know, transition over, we went from 4 of us to 5, then to 7, then to 9. Now we've got about 20 employees.
21, yeah.
And we're just growing every day.
Yeah, and you know, and he's right. It's all about timing. You know. In Illinois, he was 99.5% sure of joining, and you know, it's good. I'm glad he didn't, because you know, a lot of things changed from that time that we were there to when he did join. And you know, just, you know, with guaranteed rate, like everyone's biggest fear, and this was my fear too, because when I left my last company before joining guaranteed rate about 2 years ago, I took a month off. Right, I just said, you know what, I don't want to be sold on, you know, I talked to probably about 10 different recruiters, right? You hear all these companies, they tell you, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. And, you know, you just really don't know, right? You're getting dragged into one position, and I thought I narrowed it down to a smaller company just because I didn't want to be the small fish in the big pond, right? And that's one thing about guaranteed rate that I think everyone gets wrong. They think, you know, you have to close $100 million a year to be successful within this company. That's not true. Especially with the region that we have here, it feels like we're a smaller, We're
a small company within a small company within a big company.
Exactly.
So you basically, when you keep a boutique like that, what helps is that you become more personable.
Yes,
correct. So you become closer to one another, and instead of being just a cold cut corporate world where it's like it's either this or that and no relationships whatsoever most of the time, not a cutthroat environment. That's what's refreshing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're like you said, that's you hit the nail on the head. A boutique with a nationally known company. Guaranteed rate is everywhere. If you're watching a White Sox game, it's all over.
It's impressive.
Guaranteed rate is everywhere. I mean, we've got this. Yeah, I mean, we've got I think the most top 100 loan officers in the entire country. It's insane. Our number one loan officer has done, I think, almost $1 billion this year.
Yeah, already.
Which that's the size of my last company.
That's
annually.
Amazing.
It's insane. And what that tells me is that this model that Guaranteed Rate has designed is very successful. Yeah. And just is a good experience for clientele and for agents alike.
Absolutely. And Reggie and I, we kind of touched on that top producer gentleman. What stood out, what Reggie said, that this person is very humble.
Oh, very humble.
Yeah.
And it's just proves right there that you don't have to be just drive, that you actually slow down and build the relationship, because that's where it's at. We can be in a most state-of-the-art media presence. We can be a lot of different things, but if once we off camera don't have anything to offer to people, then what is it for?
Exactly.
You know, so
a show, right? Yeah.
So that's why I'm very much drawn to people that humble, that take their experience, not afraid to share it, because that's the definition of success in my book. When you're willing to share your experience and spread the wealth, that's when you become even wealthier and more prosperous.
Yes.
So that's amazing. What about the programs? What do you guys think works the best for your client when they come to Guaranteed Rate?
Well, I was going to say, as far as the conventional type programs, your conventionals, your FHAs, VA, Guaranteed Rate has an initiative that they started a couple years ago. They've waived all lender fees for veterans, unless you want to buy down the rate, of course. But they don't build it into the rate like a lot of lenders do. They look at that as a loss leader. They want to give back to the veterans, and they want to be the #1 veteran lender, VA lender in the entire country. And so that's something that really drew me to Guaranteed Rate as well. But you know, we're very efficient, very quick. I think our average turn times in our branch is probably, you know, about 23 days, 24 days at most. And that includes, you know, government loans and bond loans. We're very efficient. Our operations team is insanely experienced. And so, you know, that's what really helps even the less experienced loan officer seem like a veteran loan officer, because our back end team is just so amazing. So, and then Reggie and I are very good at self-employed individuals and, very difficult loans, investment loans, because we have the experience we do.
Yeah. And you said it right. You know, it's, you can look at the industry is probably up over 70% from last year, right? So it's everybody's slower today. Okay. As far as, you know, underwriting, closing, all that stuff. What Derek and I did is, I think we have one of the best operations team, right? You know, we make sure that they can work, but they're not stressed. You know what I mean? So like if we feel, matter of fact, we had a call with them yesterday and like, look, if you feel stressed, let us know. We'll bring more, right? Just because I think, you know, for us to be good as far as with the programs, to do those VAs, to do everything and close within 23 days or less, you have to have a good operations team behind you, right? So that's kind of where we'll separate ourselves, I would say, as a branch with anyone else. We have our own closing coordinator. We might have been one of the first ones here that just hired a closing coordinator for ourselves, right? So we do a lot of those things, but as far as programs, everything that's out there, right? You know, not every client is going to come to the table with pockets full of cash, right? So we do offer different, down payment assistance. What I like to do is we cater to every borrower, right? So whatever their situation is, we're going to find what program works best, So if it's a bank statement loan, we have those. If it's I-10, we have an investor for that. So, of course, everything else, FHA, conventional, we do it, and we just try to do it just in a manner that's beneficial to the client. That's it. We don't make any more money if we do this loan or that loan. You know what I mean? It's like, that's the part I like about it, right? You get some of those companies, they're like, hey, we're going to push only this. But we just want to help whoever needs help. And that's what makes our job fun.
And from being a realtor in the past, I know that a lot of people feel very uncomfortable a lot of times talk about their finances. And a lot of times self-employed people may have a little misconception of what's involved to get pre-qualified, because if you on the paper are not making what the guidelines are, it's really tough to get someone approved, because it's a catch-22 for self-employed people. Either you pay tax or you get qualified for stuff, and it's a tough decision. Everybody got families, everybody's got business to run, got their expenses, and a lot of times they are through the roof, and you just have to kind of, and reaching out to a gentleman like yourself, somebody that knows, that can guide you. And like Derek said, he has a background, and most of the loan officers can help you create the scheme of how you need to operate, plan of action to move forward, and maybe get an advice on finances altogether, not just mortgage, and just help you be guided in the right direction to excel and go get bigger.
Yeah, and that's that. I mean, you hit the nail on the head there too. We're not just loan officers. That's not the way I look at myself. I look at myself as helping a family, guide them to a good financial decision. You know, not even if somebody wants to buy the most expensive house, you know, we look at their budgets, and I look at, you know, what their financial goals are and say, hey, if you can afford $1,500, but you want a $300,000 home, that's probably not going to work. That's not going to get you to your financial goal.
Even if you qualify.
Correct. Yeah. And a lot of times it's having those difficult conversations. And, you know, there may be some clientele that doesn't like to hear it, but at the end of the day, I have to go home, go to sleep. Yeah. I have a conscience, and I want to make sure that I set every client up for success. And even our loan officers, you know, we try to instill these same values so that they understand, hey, this is how you become a consultant rather than just an order taker.
You said it right. You know, you're a consultant, right? So every situation is different. I don't want to be a loan officer, you know, because what works for you may not work for him. You know what I mean? So it's asking the right questions. I ask 2 questions on every call. I don't care if you want $1 million house or if you want 50,000. I want to know, one, you know, what's the payment that you're comfortable with each month? That helps me know that you can afford it. And then 2, how much money do you have, right? That's how I'm going to help you find the right program. You know, we don't want anyone, I always tell everyone, I don't want you house rich, cash poor. You know, just because you can afford a $4,000 payment doesn't mean, you know, your budget is showing me that. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, it's and yeah, we look at all that stuff. So.
Absolutely, and that's helpful. Yeah. Because someone that's their first home, or even if you buy 3 or 4 homes in the past, you still spend a few years. Things change almost daily. You know, it depends on what's happening. Like right now in pandemic, there are so many things that change. Even the guidelines on federal programs, they change daily as well.
Yes, they do.
And that's very important to have someone that can give you educated and well-known, experienced answer to what you need to move forward with. So speaking of relationships, realtor to loan officer and guaranteed rate, how are those relationships grow, and what can we as guaranteed rate offer?
So again, guaranteed rate, the technology, Reggie puts it best, we're a technology company that also does mortgages. I mean, it's a very advanced company that technologically is just amazing. We have a system called Gateless and Toto and all these other programs that can help with marketing for agents, and you can download marketing materials that you co-sponsor with your loan officer. But the biggest thing that you get from our group is you get communication. You know, communicating with the listing agent, communicating with the buyer's agent on every transaction, all throughout the transaction, good, bad, or indifferent information. That's what's important. You know, as a real estate agent, when you're a real estate agent, what was the biggest hot button? Communication, right?
Yeah.
Because
dead air is horrible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't know. You're just hoping and praying the loan officer knows what they're doing, and his or her team are doing it right and doing it efficiently. Yeah. So as long as we're communicating with you properly and setting the right expectations, telling you when there are hiccups, and then telling you how we're going to fix them. You know, as an agent, all the communication I've heard from every agent I've worked with is if there is something bad, tell us what's going on, how you're going to fix it, or how we can fix it. Yeah. You know, it's a team at the end of the day, and really, as long as we keep our eye on the prize, which is getting these individuals, these families and homes, that's all that matters. You know, just communicating, you know, making sure that we take care of the client, the agent will automatically get their communication, be satiated, and really be able to stop worrying about that transaction, and the agent can go get more business.
Yeah.
And when they go get more business,
Yeah.
then they can grow, then they can make more money, then they can hit their goals, which is very important to them.
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No.
No, I was gonna just touch on gateless because you asked like, what can we give to them? Like, gateless is something that we can give to them that no one else can, right? Communication, like he said, but let's just say, what gateless is, it's really a business development tool for realtors. It's all catered to them. You can actually take a client, if we get you signed up on gateless and you're a realtor, and log in. I don't care if it's 3 a.m. in the morning on a Sunday and you can't sleep and you want to know where the file is. Once you log in, you're going to see what's going on with this file. It's going to tell you if it's at underwriting, if it's an appraisal in, all this stuff. So, of course, we want to communicate, but we also know that not every loan officer is going to communicate that way. So that's what we offer. It's a free tool. It also comes with the CRM, like Red Arrow. So if you want to market to clients, I talk to some realtors and I'm like, hey, how do you follow up with your clients? Well, I don't pay for, I don't have anything, or I pay $100 for this and that. Well, let me give you something free. It's optional for you to co-market. If you don't want to co-market with me, I get it, right? I wouldn't want to put this ugly face up there either, but hey, it's an option. So do it however you want. So that's something that we can offer besides just that communication piece. If you're missing communication and a way to market, we have both, right? So that's what we offer to them.
Wow, that's wonderful. Yeah. And of course, for any loan officers that listening, if you ever consider to make a switch, guaranteed rate might be your home. So that's definitely phenomenal. And if you think you have curiosity or you're interested in how to learn mortgage business, it's also a great place because you need to start somewhere where you will be shaped up to do it the right way. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like you said, you have conscience. You want to make sure that the decision that you give and the opinion that you project on the client is the right one for them.
Yes.
That's very important. How quickly should a person start talking to a loan officer in a home buying process?
Immediately. I mean, there's no time frame. I've worked with clients from, hey, we already got the contracts yesterday. Let's get this ball rolling all the way to 3 years before.
Yeah.
They're not everybody's in the same situation, so you may have to work on credit. I totally 100% think that every client should immediately talk to a loan officer prior to even looking. Obviously, get involved with a good real estate agent. If you don't have one, we have great suggestions for all over the Metroplex and all over Texas for that matter. So,
probably the whole nation.
Well, we do.
Yeah.
We do. We lend in all 50 states. We specialize. Our team in California, Georgia, Florida, Texas, Oklahoma. Those are kind of our specialties. But we can lend all over the nation, and we have access to loan officers all over all 50 states. So it's pretty amazing.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Also, let's talk about what do you think the market will look like in the next year and a half. A lot of people project and forecast different things.
I mean, I didn't see the market looking like it does today, right? Like if you'd asked me a year ago, I wouldn't have said it's going to be this crazy, right? But I would just say what I think is that I don't see rates shooting up really high. I think they're going to go higher. It's a couple things. It's an election year. Mm-hmm. We don't know the outcome, right? We don't know how everybody's going to react to whatever. And then throw COVID on top of it, right? So, it's just, I think what I tell everyone, if it makes sense right now to own a house, to buy a home, buy it, right? Why wait? And, people are going to always need somewhere to live, so the only thing I would say on it, in my opinion, Derek may be different, is that rates may be slightly higher. I think all the panic of the guideline changes, this and that, it all passed. We was kind of concerned about when people were, putting their mortgages on foreclosure?
Forbearance.
Forbearance, yeah, yep. Forbearance, thank you. Because I was like, man, are they going to make all these payments due at once? That's going to cause like foreclosures, right, if they can't afford it now. But a lot of these banks that they're just putting those payments on the back end. So it's no panic. You know what I mean? So we're refinancing these people today. And I don't know. I think it'll be fun. It's going to be, I think we should go back to that question in December.
I think we should revisit.
No.
So speaking of forbearance, when someone is doing the refinance, do they need to get out of forbearance before they do that?
Absolutely. You have to. So there's a couple different ways. So if you've been in forbearance, let's say you got in immediately in March or April, you skipped your March, April, and May payment, and you've made June, July, and August, then that's deferral at that point. So once you're out of your forbearance, it goes into a deferral period. If you've made 3 payments of your deferral, then you're totally fine. Yeah. There's no issues there. But if you're in forbearance now, and even if you want to purchase a new home, Fannie Mae is the only investor at this point, from my understanding, that will allow somebody to sell a home that was in forbearance and then not have to catch it up prior to the clear to close.
Yeah, because forbearance, when I first heard of that, I did not think it was a great idea, especially if it's going to be all in conjunction, all of these payments at once. If you couldn't afford one, how can you afford 3 of them at the end? Right.
Well, and here's the other negative part of it. Even if you do have that deferral, what are you missing for those 3 months? Your taxes, your insurance, potentially your HOA if you're not paying that. If you're paying that annually and you think, hey, I can defer this too. No, those things have to be paid because they're separate from your mortgage. It's just your principal and interest that a lot of people haven't really been educated on, because these mortgage companies are giving out these forbearance notices and say, hey, click here to apply, and you click a button and you're good.
You're in it.
But there's a 50-page disclaimer that says, hey, you have to pay this, you have to do that, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, I'm in mortgage, but I'm not going to read that stuff. Yeah. That's insane.
It's insane.
They need to keep it as simple as possible, but it's legal jargon. They've got a, CYA.
And a lot of times when you call a service company, and I remember talking on behalf of my father, because English is our second language, and I'm first generation that moved to the United States, so for him it's a lot of times hard to communicate. But long story short, I'm talking to someone that's a servicer, and she's offering me an option of forbearance. And with already knowing the answer that this is not the best route to take, I'm asking her directly, how would that reflect on my credit? How would it affect my ability to refinance? Oh, no, you're perfectly fine. That should not be a problem. No. Well, might not be a hard stop, but it will take 3-4 months to recuperate from that in order to do anything else. So before you do something like that with your mortgage, just make sure that you do consult your loan originator who started that for you, just to get a better understanding and make more educated financial decision on that end. So that's a big deal for sure. Yeah. For the company, as boutique as guaranteed rate, I assume that everyone is really close together. What do you guys usually like to do to enhance that team spirit and the team building experience?
Well, before all the masks and before the bars shut down, before the restaurants shut down, we would do a monthly get together. We'd go bowling. We'd have an amazing Christmas dinner, out, or we would go to just a happy hour, just to stay together. Escape room. Forgot about that. That was super cool.
Team building, right?
Yeah,
fun.
We split into 2 groups, and whichever one got out first won. We like to have a lot of fun. We like to get together, get to know each other, and it is a family-like experience with our group. Yes, we bicker back and forth a lot, but you know what? We'll fight tooth and nail to protect one another. So it's a cool group. We like to have a good time.
Yeah. And the company, so this region has this thing called the Palooza, right? And what that is you invite all your realtors to it. And last year we did it in Frisco, Plano area, Emerald City. They were playing. It was all you can eat, all you can drink.
Great band.
Yeah, so that was just for the region, for like all the offices, right? And like Derek said, you know, we try to do something once a month, but it's bring your spouse or a plus one, right? You know, it's culture. That's what we built around. Everyone that works with us, we want to make sure that like you kind of fit in. You know, it's not really about like how much you produce, how much you can do this and that. If you're the bad one in the locker room, we kind of don't want you. You know what I mean? Because that'll mess up everyone day. You know, so but yeah, he's right. We're just a family. You know, we have a good time.
That's important.
Yes, yes.
And speaking of families, what do you guys like to do outside of mortgage business when you just completely disconnect and focus on your family?
Completely disconnect? I don't think that ever happens. I love, you know, going to the gym, working out with my wife, and we play sand volleyball, and you know, spend time with family and have our pups. You know, just kind of relax.
I like driving by the gym to the next restaurant I'm going to. No, I mean, you know, me just sitting on my back porch and smoking a cigar, right? To watching TV. My buddy got me a 50-inch TV, right, to go in the back, and football season starting, so it's getting, you know, cooler outside. That's me, right? You know, or my son, if he has a basketball game, or my kids are doing something. You know, me and the wife just hanging out. That's it. You know, just I tell you, it's so funny. We probably do more business today than we ever did in our career, but we don't have the stress. Mm-hmm. Isn't that crazy? Like it's all about the pod model that we run here. We don't have to babysit. It's crazy. I mean, this guy gets off at 4 every day. I guess. I mean. You know, I might get off at 7, right? You know, 8. But when I go home, my laptop is closed. I don't need to open it. You know what I mean? So it's kind of amazing feeling to know that, man, work is done. If we want to finish at 5, we get in, we grind. And then, I mean, like you said, all the tools are in place where we can check our pipeline within, I can look at my whole pipeline within 10 minutes and shoot out whatever email and then move on. Because, you know, just the systems, right? So I don't know. It's pretty good.
Sounds like little things make big things happen.
Yes.
Yes.
That's amazing. Well, I would like to thank you, gentlemen, for being here today. I know your day is extremely busy and packed with making and improving lives of others. And I would like to thank our viewers. Thank you for being at As Real As They Come Dallas on our Keeping It Realty talk. And if you are looking for a mortgage, if you have any questions, you please reach out to us. And if you're looking to switch your branches or companies, you're more than welcome at Guaranteed Rate. Let's have a conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to thank our listeners for watching our podcast. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you think, what your experiences were in life with As Real As They Come Dallas. Thank you.